Okay, Perentie suspension kit. So, a lot of the things I do, I try and work it as what I would like on my vehicle and value for money. So all I've done with this, don't know, it's a little bit hard to see. The kit I fit is 2 inches over standard ride height, which a Perentie sits a little bit higher than a normal Defender anyway, or 110. So I suppose it's about an inch or so above the original height, or it might be very similar. Often when they come in, it's the suspension really is well and truly had its day. So let's have a look at the side view. I don't know if we can really gauge it very well. That's the back. So the back's a little bit higher than the front. So what I fit on them is on the front. So these are Terrafirma kits, or they're not a complete kit. I make them up, and I've played around with mine, different suspension setups to get something that I think rides well and is, it rides pretty reasonable on the road, and off-road it's pretty reasonable. Okay, so I have, so these are all 2 inches above standard ride height, which, like I said, on a Perentie is only about an inch, I guess. So it's not ridiculous. It'll still pass roadworthy if the vehicle needs it. So on the front, I've got the heaviest load coils. So Terrafirma, I think, have changed some of their wording to like constant load or medium load, but I've just called them the heaviest load or medium load or light load. So this on the front is the heaviest load coil because the great big cast iron block and cast iron head, I think it's about don't quote me on this, I think it's about 100 kilos heavier than a lot of other engines. It's round, on my forklift, I've got a digital, weight hoo-ha, and I think it's around 300 and something kilos, or 300 or 350. It was basically on par with an old 350 Chev, which weighed about the same. So, heaviest load coil on the front, and I've got the big bore shocks, Terrafirma big bore shocks, again plus 2 inches on the front. And I have got, you're probably not going to be able to see it, but I'll get in there. And I've got the Discovery 2 rubber dampers, top and bottom. Don't know, I suppose it helps, the insulators. I suppose it helps, but it just helps with that level bit a little bit, okay? On the back, because the back has got no weight on it, even when you put gear in it. On the back, I've got medium load coils, okay? And I've still got the big bores. So mine doesn't have the big bores on the back, it's just got the Pro Sports. I think the big bores on the back just control the back end a little bit more, that tacking like a Range Rover Classic round the corners type thing. So there's our medium load. Now, often what you get with the Perentes is the Army, one thing they didn't teach people how to do is welding. So I grind all that nice and smooth, because on maximum articulation, depending on the tyres you get, it can rub against that. And if you've got all this bird shit weld there, it can cut into the tyre. So I always smooth it out, and often I have to do a bit of cleaning up inside here, and some of them have got all sorts of bits and pieces welded on them, a bit hodgepodgey. This is an Army, this is how they came from Land Rover like that. this plate here, that's your dislocation plate. That's something the army did or someone did after the fact. Okay. I don't mind them. Like I said, I clean them up, and sometimes I just bend it in a little bit, just so it's well clear of the tyre. But I like that idea, actually. It's fairly simple, and if the coil pops out, it'll eventually pop back in, or you can give it a kick, whatever. Yes, you can do things like dislocation cones, but hey, this is really simple. And you could do it on Defenders too, that plate. So there's our big bore shocks. I'm pretty happy with the ride height of them. And like I said, I've done a few like this now. I quite like it. And value for money. I mean, look, to the credit of some of the suspension guys out there, awesome bits of kit. And I have seen some stuff with remote reservoir shocks and stuff for Defenders, but some of the kits are around that $7,000. Or some kits, we've got all the spring rates worked out, and they say, oh, we recommend this shock, but often it's not supplied with the coils, you know. I don't really want to reinvent the wheel. I think there's a lot of good guys out there doing a lot of good suspension stuff for these. But, you know, even with fitting, we're talking half the price of some of the other kits. And to be fair, some will say, oh, we'll rebuild the shocks, and some with the like Bilstein say, oh, you can rebuild them. Some of the things like Bilsteins, or, you know, don't quote me, but some of them, to get them rebuilt, costs as much as getting new shocks. Most of the Terrafirma stuff now, it's made in Thailand and Indonesia, and I like the build quality. It's improved. I don't know that there's much of the Terrafirma stuff. There wasn't a great deal of it made in China, but some of it was. I've never really had a drama, but I certainly like things made in Thailand. I think the Thais have got such a good pride of workmanship. So when I see something made in Thailand, I'm generally okay with that. Same with Indonesia. You know, I support any country buying parts from in that Indo-Pacific region. You know, so a lot of the Terrafirma stuff's always been made in Thailand. Some of the stuff, like I think Disco 2 rear coils, were made in Australia at some point. Don't know if that's still the case, but anyway. And I realise that some of them are perhaps wholesaled out. You know, it's another company actually making the coils. But show me a suspension that isn't. You probably find a lot of the top-notch ones you can get in Australia, I suspect maybe Dobinson's or King Springs make them. I know all the Jeep stuff used to be King Springs. Again, great stuff. I don't knock or put down any of the good suspension stuff you get, but some of the stuff, I say to customers, look, wow, are you going Badger racing with it? Or and like I say, I don't have enough skin in the game for me to go, oh yeah, Terrafirma's the be-all and end-all, mate. Because for what I put on the kit and the install, you know, if someone brings me a U-Butte top-notch suspension kit and gets me to fit it, that's probably better for me because I'm going to charge more labour because there's an awful lot more work involved. You know, what's it on this? I think I got to, what is it? I'm just looking at my job board because I wrote down the hours. 3 hours to fit it all. And that included cleaning the two towers up because they were rusty as hell, like they all are. unbolting all the rusty stuff. And this one I had to pry bar the old coils out because it started to go all rusty to the galvanised frame. Work that out. I'm just trying to see if I can't find another great video of mine. Oh, God. So the coils were I mean, some of the parts of the coils are pitted. The shocks were absolutely knackered. Yeah, the coils, it wouldn't surprise me that they're original, you know. And how long's the Terrafirma stuff? I don't know, I think mine have been in there 10 years. Still going fine. So, value for money, top spec, money's no object. You know, I do whatever the customer really wants. I can only recommend stuff. Same with tyres. I'm almost tempted to say, I've always been Yokohama Gearlander, all-terrains, fanboy, a good tyre. I'm almost tempted to say that I think I might be going back to the BF Goodrich in the all-terrains. I've just been doing so much research on tyres, and basically, if you're not buying branded tyres, BF Goodrich, Yokohama, I suspect Bridgestone as well, Michelin, whatever, you're getting something that really doesn't have that much design or tech in it. One thing I was reading on the BF Goodrich, the KO2s, this wasn't, apparently they hadn't finished the development on this tyre when car manufacturers were fitting them as OE, and some of the tread pattern changed and some of the little bits and pieces, so they were still developing it. I've never seen an OE BF Goodrich KO2, only these later ones. And you can tell the later KO2s, the centre tread, the OE ones had a distinctive S pattern, where these ones have got sort of that, I don't know, it was described to me as the caterpillar sort of shape, right? And when you compare the two tyres next to each other, these lugs on the every second stick out a bit further. But my main reason is I've got quite a few customers that have gone back to these KO2s, and in sand, they said they've been performing excellent. Where I have to say, what turned me off with the original KO1s, they were shit in the sand. They were some of the shittiest tyres I've ever used in the sand. You'd let them down to 12 psi and it made so little difference. So I thought, have they just softened the sidewall? Well, from what I'm reading, it's not just a softer, it's the way they construct the tyre. The machine that makes the tyre is new. So, you know, again, this is just my opinion that I throw out there for customers. So that's about it for this Perentie. I did fit a power steering kit, which I'm like, I got to really hammer that a lot more, because power steering on the Perentiis is just awesome. It's a great kit. I keep them in stock. I'm going to hammer them a lot more because, hey, if your Perentiis, once you go power steering, you won't go back. So this one's ready to go. Suspension's done. Power steering's done. Good-o. Well, that's all I've got. Thanks for watching. See ya. Bye.